opens up the box and plays the game. He never reads instructions cause they're lame. He's Bowser. Oh, he plays the game so badly. His eyes are twitching madly. He's here again so sadly. He's Bowser. Oh.
Hello, welcome back. Right, purpose of this is I've decided to just like a little bit of fun. Whenever I do a video on a Sunday, now it's going to be kind of like a surprise video. So you're not going to know from the title what game it is until we actually get into the video. Just as a little bit of fun. Now the games I select may be great, they may be average, they may be absolute downright stinkers. And I'd like to know your thoughts on whether or not you think it's a good idea, etc. Or if you think, you know, just put the name of the game in the title of the video. I'm just trying to do something a tiny bit different from what I've normally been doing, just to kind of keep people's interests up. Now today's game is a tribute to a classic game, but it's classic for all the wrong reasons. It's ETX from Abex Software in 1983, and it is a Spectrum tribute to the infamous Atari 2600 ET the Extraterrestrial video game, which is constantly mentioned as being one of the worst games ever, responsible for video game crashes, etc. Vastly overproduced numbers of cartridges that ended up getting sold, buried in a sort of landfill in America somewhere, and people thought that was an urban myth until quite recently, only a few years back, when actually the site was discovered and all these things were excavated. Now I was put onto this by Larry Bundy Jr. did a video of it a couple of, well, a few months back, about a year back. And I certainly didn't know that a tribute or a version of ET had been produced for the Spectrum. And, you know, one of the questions I'm going to ask is, were you familiar with it? Do you know this game, ETX? Now, it is ET in all senses of the game, but they've changed various bits and pieces of, you know, obviously to avoid litigation, I suppose. So now ET is called ETX, the Extraterrestrial Zargon. Elliot is now called Ernie. The government agent Keys from the film is now an MI5 agent, so they've transferred everything and put it into a British setting for us British people. Now, I don't know an awful lot about Abex, and certainly nowadays no one would ever get away with this kind of stunt, especially selling it as a commercial product. So my question is, do you know of this game? What are your thoughts of it? Have you played either version, the Atari 2600 or the Speccy version? And how does one compare to the other? Now, there's some humour value in this game, and I'm going to go into it just now. You have to excuse me squinting. My glasses, I haven't got a clue where they are. I think they fell out of my pocket when I was walking the dog yesterday. Hey, that's the kind of thing that happens to me. So, first things first, and now we're all used to, we know that there was a lot of bold claims about how good a game was and publishers used to make. Abex have taken it to another level. I saw this when Larry Bundy did his video, and I thought, no, that can't be right. But it is right. Written on the inlay, I don't know if you can see that, is that kind of glowing tribute to their work, which says, Abex took over 3 months to develop this, the finest program on the market. Well, that's bollocks for a start. Home computing magazines seem to agree. Speech is effective and must be at the limit of Spectrum capabilities. Graphics are excellent and animation superb. A combination of graphics, adventure, maze and chase games makes this an unusual, fascinating and addictive program which must rank amongst the Spectrum classics. Then it gives some ratings. Value for money, 100%. Graphics, 100%. Score, 100%. This is an objective assessment by an independent body. There can be no doubt this is the best. And then on the side, where does it say? It says something else somewhere. Or have I imagined that? Oh, I must have imagined it. Oh no, a graphical adventure, maze and chase game, pixel graphics and speech, an unusual, addictive and fascinating game, a Spectrum classic. Wow! How they got away with that, I don't know. I don't know how many copies ETX sold. And I've tried various times to get this going. But it loads really unusually. First off, it loads all the speech that's in the game, and there is a lot of speech in the game, and for something from 1983, that's really quite cool, I suppose, until it gets to the point where it's actually a pain in the arse. So it's... and the way it loads the speech, and then it loads the instruction manual, which you then have to read. So there's no instructions on the inlay card. And, you know, you can read it sometime again. And then you load the game itself. So if... and the actual game data is contained on side B. So you can't just, if side A stops working, because that's got the speech and the instruction inlay on it, if that stops working, you can't just rewind it and the entire thing's been copied onto side B. It won't work. And I've had an awful pain of a day trying to get it to work via an MP3 file, and I finally got it to work, so I can bring you ETX. Now, like I say, this Sunday surprise thing is just a little laugh. Hoping to bring you some more of the unusual games, the lesser known ones. You know, it keeps my interest up as well. You know, there's 1,000,001 RoboCop videos, etc. Not that it isn't a good game; it's great. But I like to try and sort of like cover the lesser known titles. Anyway, I've rabbited on far too long, and this is just the fucking intro. Let's get into the loading bit with the instruction manual. I have to show you that, and then into the game itself. Okay, take care. See you in a bit. Right, when the game finally loads, that's taken about 9 attempts on a 6-minute file, so my patience is already worn with this game. That's what's you're greeted with. Now, in 1983, speech on the Spectrum would have been a great novelty, but you'll see soon that in this game it's a bit of a pain in the arse, or it becomes a bit of a pain in the arse. Now, everyone knows the history behind E.T. the game for the Atari 2600, but they may not have known that Abex and Dave Webb produced this tribute for the Spectrum. They have, of course, renamed some of the protagonists in it. E.T. is ETX, Elliot is Ernie, Mr. Keys is now the MI5 agent, and we're going to go in and see what it's like now. Right, okay. So you can choose to be either plays just Ernie, plays the Professor and Ernie, or the MI5 agent and Ernie, or you can have all three in them. Right, if you don't press a button, you get which game, like that, in a kind of sort of Camp Dalek kind of voice. But let's get on with it. Like I say, I've had this game for quite some time. I bought the tape as a curio, having seen Larry Bundy Jr.'s video, as I mentioned. But the tape never loaded. But I thought I want to do a video on it because it's unusual and a game people may not know much about. So let's get into it. Right, so we're going to select all three, and I don't know, we'll have level 1. So the controls are Q, A, O, P, and any key on the bottom row. So I'm pressing M there, just to speed up a bit because you can see I'm being followed. Oh, for God's sake! Now, just going anywhere near, like a single pixel near one of the caves will make you drop down it, and it is incredibly annoying. You'll hear that a lot as well. Now, I've played this game for a while, and oh God. So let's talk about how it compares to the 2600 version. Well, yeah, it does look like it. You can say that it is. I've never played the Atari 2600 version, but if you have, then please let me know how this fares against it. Now, there's, oh, for God's sake, you see what I mean? Just clipped the edge of that, and I went down it. Then I'm interested to sort of know how you think this sort of fares in comparison. If if you cared that much about the Atari game. Now, it's widely regarded as the worst game ever, but I've played worse than games that look far worse than E.T. on the Atari does, especially on the Spectrum. You know, games like Dinky Digger, Auf Wiedersehen, Pet. You know, E.T. is like a symphony compared to those. But this is just this is just grim. That speech is highly irritating. Very, very difficult to find your way around. And you know, I forgot to, I found something there. I don't know what that is. I should have paid more attention to the instruction manual. But like I said, I've never known oh, for God's sake! I've never known a game do things that way, where it loads the speech first, then loads the instruction manual, and then loads the game. But as I found, it only gives you about a second between one sort of bit of the tape ending and the other one starting. So if you're not quick enough on stopping the load, so you can read what's on there, it will start loading the first part of the next bit, and that's where it gets to be a pain in the arse. Now, I appreciate it. Oh God, I appreciate it being 1983, etc., and things weren't quite as well evolved load-wise as they were to become to be. But this is just, oh my God, no. This is just for a first Sunday surprise episode. I'm sorry to have to have brought you this, but it's a game I always wanted to do a video of, because, you know, I paid for it and I own it. But like I said, this is an MP3 file I've loaded. Oh, is there going to be anything down here? No, there fucking isn't. Ouch, ouch, fucking ouch. I don't even know what that screechy noise is. Now, like I've said, I've played this is an abysmal game, but it's not the worst game. I've played far, far worse, like those games I mentioned. And I'll add to that the likes of, I don't even know what happened. Hello. Add the likes of EastEnders to that. Super Gran. Even Super Gran is more playable than this. There's got a lot more happening in it. I don't. What even it was that? I don't know. I can't stand this game anymore. I'm very, very sorry. This is it's not the worst game ever, but it is certainly nowhere near being either an average or even competent game. It's just the speech is annoying. The graphics, well, it's supposed to be an homage to an Atari 2600 game, so you know we can give them that, I suppose. But the sound, that speech just gets freaking annoying, and being constantly dropped into these pits through no fault of your own. Just by entering a screen, some of the pits are really, really near the edges of the screen. You end up falling down them. Anyway, I hope you somehow enjoyed the video. If you did, please let me know. If you like the video, please let me know. If you wish to subscribe, please do so. But if you do subscribe, as I always say, please, please, please take the time to join in the discussion, particularly surrounding this game, and particularly about the Atari version, if you're familiar with it. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.